Hello, I'm Dr. Jim Anderson, and I'm here to talk to you about one of the biggest problems that high schools have today. No, it's not graduation rates, and no, it's not school lunches. One of the biggest challenges that high school principals and teachers face every year is the challenge of getting their students to sign up for courses for next year. Now, you would think that this is something, because this is something that we do every single year, we would have gotten pretty good at it by now. But that's just not the case. GSL Solutions has created the Digital Bell. This is an automated, online registration tool for high schools to use to get their students to sign up. Now, the Digital Bell consists of 3 different steps for the registration process. There is no paperwork involved, it's all done online, and it's very accurate because it's done by computers. How much better would this make your life? Let me give you a little demo of what this product looks like. When a teacher goes to log into the Digital Bell, this is the screen that they'll see. They'll type in their email address and their password, and then they'll click on the green sign in button. Now, I have access to a number of different schools. Most teachers will only have access to a single school. So let's go ahead and select a school to log into. When you log into the Digital Bell, you're going to be presented with your own personal dashboard. Now, normally this dashboard would be filled with a lot of different functions that a teacher would have access to. For the purposes of this demo, I've limited my dashboard to only present me with one function. It's the registration classes function. What I'm going to do is come over here, and I'm going to click on the View Classes option, which is my only option. Now, if I was the teacher, Emily Ackerman, this is the view I'd be presented with when I selected that particular function. You can see that Emily teaches 4 sections of English Honors 1 and 2 sections of English 1 for a total of 6 courses that she teaches during the course of a day. Now, for each one of these courses, Emily needs to go in and needs to identify what the next course that each one of her students should take next year is. So the way she's going to do that is she's going to come along here and she's going to click on the magnifying glass for her Period 1 English Honors 1 class. Now you see we get some information at the top about the class. So the year is 2014 to 2015. The class is English Honors 1. The teacher is Emily Ackerman. You can see it's a first period course. The section is 0001. It's located in building 3, room 110. Now, what comes next on the page is a list of all of the students who are currently taking this particular class. Emily has the responsibility for each one of these students to identify what course they should take next year. Now, if we come up here on the top and we click on courses, what you're going to see is that we actually have access to all the courses that are being offered by the university. She could select any one of these. Now, English Honors 1 is actually an English course, so probably what we're going to want to do is say, hey, let's go down to the English courses here. Probably be under E. So English Honors 1 is where we're at. So next year, probably most of our students would actually go on and take English 2. So we're going to go ahead and select English 2. You can see that each and every student has now been identified as being a student who's going to take English 2. So really, this is an 80-20 sort of solution. Most of the students will go on and take that next course in the sequence. However, if there's a student that Emily thinks should not take that course, she has the option to go to that particular student and then be able to go down and say, listen, I think they'd actually be better off taking this other course. So she can set that student to take a different course. That's sort of the 20% solution. And she may have another student who she doesn't believe should take any English course. If that's true, she can go ahead and select no selection, right? Now, each one of these students has a comment field associated with them. So Emily can type in a comment to indicate why she made the particular selection that she did. poof. Now that comment is going to be saved with Emily's recommendation for this student. And as you go through the process at the end of the year when the guidance counselor is making the final recommendation for what course this student should take next year, the comment will be presented to the guidance counselor. So the guidance counselor has some context regarding the recommendation that Emily made for that particular student. Now, after Emily's made all of her recommendations for all of the students in that particular class, all she has to do is go down here and hit submit, and she will have completed this task for her class. Now I'm going to hit cancel because that's not what I want to do right now. We'll just be taken back up to the top. Now you see up here we can always hit classes for Emily. And all we're going to be doing is presented with exactly the classes that she's taking. Now, the system also supports administrators. So I'm going to sign out as Emily, and I'm going to sign in as myself because I have administrator privileges for this particular school. Now you can see presented over here on the left under classes, I can see every single class that's currently being taught at the school, and I can see all the teachers who are doing it. An interesting point over here on the far right side is the status. It shows the status of how far the teachers have gotten in making the recommendations for the students in each given class. If the teachers had started the process, we would see a bar graph here that would show me how much progress they had actually made. As a school principal or as an administrator, what it means is it's very, very easy to see which teachers have completed the assignment of making recommendations and which ones still have a ways to go. All you have to do is scroll through it and you'll identify exactly who has not completed the task yet. So we're looking at classes here. The next thing we can do is we can look at courses, and this is where things get very, very interesting. So courses sort of looks like classes, but courses are basically, these are all the courses that the high school offers. Now, what's important about courses is courses are actually have a lot of information associated with them. So let's take a look at Access Algebra 1A and see what we can do here. So the very first thing we can do is we can identify what subject Access Algebra 1A is part of. Well, it's part of mathematics. You see that there's a title, and the title is defined by the state. You notice that there's a code that also comes directly from the state. We can indicate how many credits we're going to award for completing this class. Then for each class, we can type in a description. Now the description is going to be important a little bit later on in the process, because when students are signing up for classes and they click on a class and say, so what am I going to learn in this class? The description is what's going to be displayed to the student. It's pretty much exactly the text that you would expect to find in a school's course catalog. Now, where things get really interesting is down here in the follow-up courses box. So if I take Access Algebra 1A and I pass it, okay, then the question is, what's the next course that I should take? Probably Algebra 1. However, there may be other courses I might take. So if I click here again, you can see I can go down here. Perhaps I move on to Algebra 2. Now, by filling in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 for Access Algebra 1A, when I'm a teacher who's teaching Access Algebra 1A, when I go to make recommendations for what course my students should take next year, instead of being presented with all of the courses that the school offers, instead what I'm going to be presented with is two options, Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and I'll be able to select between those. So by editing your courses, what you're actually able to do is you're able to build the sequence of courses that students at your school should follow. This is sort of an administrative setup. It really only ever has to be done once, but once it's done, it's in place, and if you ever need to make any changes to it, very, very simple to go in and do. So I'm going to hit cancel and get out of this. Next, you'll see that we have subjects. So we'll go over here and click on that. Subjects are pretty simple. You'll notice that we currently have defined 7 groups of subjects. You can, of course, easily add more to this. Let's take a look at what we've got for English. I think it's pretty simple. So its title is English. There's no code for English. Is it a core requirement? And the answer is yes. So nothing really to be changed here. So let's take a look now. We'll go back, actually. And let's take a look at teachers. This will provide us with a list of every single teacher who's currently working at the school. Each teacher is assigned a teacher code. We identify how many classes they're teaching, and we identify whether or not they have an account on the Digital Bell system. Let's take a look and see what happens when we go to edit a teacher's information. So we have first name, middle name, last name, any suffix, we have their code, and then we also have a link to exactly what account they have on the system. So we can identify the account, click on it, and then we've tied this particular teacher with this particular name to their Digital Bell account, which means when they log in, they'll be presented with only the classes that they're teaching. And that's it. It's that simple for teachers to make recommendations for the students that they currently have as to what courses they should take next year.